Alright, CodeVein DLC Hellfire Night. I just played it, had a little bit of fun with it. It was pretty fun actually. It seems like we're gonna have a little bit of work to do with this new content that they added to the game, and I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to talk about it because I read a couple of things. I read a lot of people had different opinions about this DLC. Some people felt a bit in a different way, so I wanted to touch on that. But also I wanted to make a review and give my thoughts on the DLC, what I think, how good it was, do I like it, do I not like it, what are things I like and what are things that I dislike. So the DLC itself is pretty much a map of the depth that you will obtain by going in the crypt after the next to the room where you defeat Mido and you go through the hallway. There's a staircase that goes downstairs. You go there, you open the door, and then you obtain the map of the depth and also a memory fragment and a blood code. So that's pretty much how you do it, and then you go to Davis and you have access to the map of the depth. You can teleport from any missiles at any time given, at any moment that you want, and it's pretty nice, pretty simple to do. So yeah. Now, the DLC itself, how is it? So the map of the depth that you obtain is a different map. It's kind of a desert map, but at the same time you can see that it has a little mix of different assets from other maps that you've seen before, and it's surprisingly a bit more colorful than other maps, especially other canyon or let's say desert that you see in CodeVein, because there is a bit of a scorched floor to it, because there's a lava area to it. So it's interesting. It's not, I don't know if that's realistic, but I don't mind, because it's kind of just for the sake of making something that is fun to look at in a video game. For example, the guiding lens in the Monster Hunter World, for example, which is a mix of every freaking ecosystem that you can see in the game. So that's a bit how that new map is, and the exploration into in it itself, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it at all. In fact, I despised it. I'm never going to go back there and just farm the monster there. I think that was pretty bad, not because the map itself was necessarily bad. I mean, for the game that CodeVein is, I would say it's decent, it's okay, it does what it has to do, so it's fine. But I didn't like the way enemies were, because, you know, I have my own gripes with the combat in CodeVein. So yeah, but aside of that, at least they made the mini bosses in that area not as obnoxious as the other mini bosses that you would see in the other maps of the depth. And for that, I would give it a thumbs up, because at least, you know, the exploration itself is already kind of annoying with all these enemies that can one-shot you. At least the mini bosses they're okay, so they're not too tough, they're not too annoying, too obnoxious. I like it. Now, as soon as you get done with the exploration of the map, you go to the boss area, which is going to be the Hellfire Knight. However, there's a little thing in front of the boss room. There's a sword that is planted in the ground right in front of it. So that sword, when you interact with it, it's going to open up a new menu that we haven't seen before in CodeVein, and that menu is pretty much a challenge board, a board of challenge and rewards that you can get from defeating the Hellfire Knight. So the game is going to reward us for defeating the Hellfire Knight multiple times in different conditions. For example, sometimes you have to land the first hit, you have to survive for 60 seconds, for 130 seconds or something like that. So you have different tiers of rewards that you can get by defeating the Hellfire Knight. Now, on the Hellfire Knight itself, I was very surprised. I was very happy as well, because from the images that we got, it was a bit difficult to see, and from the actual, you know, poster for the DLC of CodeVein, it was kind of hard to determine what type of enemy it was going to be. It didn't look like the leaks said, which mentioned that we were going to fight Aragamis, meaning God Eater monsters. And the Hellfire Knight is actually a God Eater monster. It's a skeleton from the God Eater monster called the Hannibal, which is, like I showed in my previous CodeVein video, a dragon, like a serpent that is shaped that is like a human as well. And that enemy is fantastic in CodeVein. So they didn't just copy paste the Hannibal from God Eater and put in CodeVein, right? What they did is that they adapted it to what we can do in CodeVein. And I was kind of scared because at first I thought, man, we're never going to be able to keep up with the speed of the Aragamis, right? Because Aragamis are crazy fast. They're crazy fast, but in God Eater they seem pretty slow because we, as a player in God Eater, we have so many mobility options. We have so many ways to completely outspeed the enemies in God Eater. So in CodeVein, I thought it was going to be hella difficult. I thought it was going to be so difficult to for them to make this boss fun and interesting. So I was kind of scared they were going to tone him down, which they didn't. And they didn't just copy paste him, like I said. What they did, in fact, is that they adjusted him to be just fast enough, just strong enough, and just tough enough for us to defeat it still. So I'm really glad they managed to do it. And they actually gave it new moves that you don't see in God Eater at all. New moves, new attack strings. I liked it. I was very happy with it. Now, I've seen a lot of people, to my surprise, I've seen that some people actually struggle against this enemy. And at first, I was kind of surprised, like I said, but I realized that it was because people are not used to this moveset. People are not used to that speed of the monster, or they are not used to its movement. And, well, in the back of my head, even though I was playing CodeVein, I was looking at a Hannibal. And because I was looking at Hannibal, I thought, I know this moveset. I know how to deal with these moves. I know how to dodge all of these attacks, you know. So I was pretty ready mentally I was mentally prepared to fight that thing, but a lot of people were not. So a little tip, just for that, if you don't know, because like I said in my previous video, Haragamis, not Haragamis, but the Virgin Born is the same type of enemy as an Aragami in CodeVein. Why is that? Well, it's because the Virgin Born has different weak points. Its entire body is not as consistent in terms of the damage it can take. So there are going to be specific spots where you want to hit the Virgin Born, most likely the head and the front legs, or the front part of the torso. Same thing with the Hellfire Knight. If you want to deal more damage to the Hellfire Knight, you're gonna need to hit the head, the front part of the torso, or the front hand, the arms. So that's how you're going to deal damage to the Hellfire Knight. You're going to be pretty tough to get in its front because it's a very aggressive boss. It's very fast as well, so it's going to be a very tough fight for people. But you have to try to achieve it. You know, you have to try to get in front of it and hit it. It takes some guts, you know. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good boss. It's a pretty good boss fight in my opinion. And in fact, it's easily in my top 5 favorite boss fights in CodeVein now. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was going to suck because the Virgin Born moves like him. I think people didn't get that very well in my previous video, but what I meant when I said that the Virgin boss was a problem, it wasn't because it's a difficult boss. The reason why I was worried when I was talking about the Virgin Born is because the Virgin Born is such a boring, tedious, obnoxious, and annoying boss fight. It's not hard. It's just a boring thing to go through, especially for the final boss. It's so boring. And thank God I was right about saying that that the Virgin Born was a boring boss, because the thing that we got here, the Hellfire Knight, is fun. It is so much fun to fight. If it was just like the Virgin Born, God, I would have been bored. I would have been so bored and so disappointed. You don't even imagine. Instead, this new fight with the Hellfire Knight gives me hope for the future DLC content that we will get eventually, hopefully next month. and fast enough, hopefully. So, and by the way, the list of challenges, they give some rewards, like I said, but some of the rewards, I feel a bit, I don't know exactly how to feel about some of these rewards, especially when it comes to the blood veils. So the blood veils that we get are recolored version of existing blood veils. I think there are quite a few people who are not too happy about that. Personally, I wouldn't be mad if the recolors were actually cool and had like a fiery texture to it, like it's burning, you know, and a bit of, you know, scraps on them, like a bit of if they look like they were a bit damaged and they were burning, I think they would look really cool. For example, they gave the feather one, the one that has feather, the stinger type blood veil that has feather, but it's just purple and white feathers. It's like, it's super lame in my opinion. It would have been so cool if it was, I don't know, maybe black with burning feathers on it. That would have been so cool. It would have been like a phoenix, you know. So that's the part where I feel very weird about the rewards. I don't really like those blood veils. I feel super disappointed about them. But yeah, anyways, and overall I think the Hellfire Knight is a really cool boss because it's a very fair boss in my opinion. Yes, it is a really fast boss. Yes, it does quite a bit of damage. Yes, it has a really large health pool, and even though you hit the front part of its body, even though you manage to hit the weak points, it still has a lot of health, right? But the reason why this boss is fair and fun to me is because, unlike most bosses in this game, the unreactable moves of this boss do not one-shot. At least I didn't get one-shot from an unreactable move. I got one-shot from moves that were charged and I failed to dodge them. So I felt that the boss was fair. There's no bullshit with that boss. It is a really tough fight, and that's just what it is, and I like this. It reminds me of Bloodborne as well, where I was when just a few days ago when I was fighting Cause and I managed to beat Cause. It's just a really tough boss fight if you're not used to fighting the Hannibal at all. So I'm really glad about it. Yeah, and I wanted to actually say, when it comes to fairness and stuff like that, I keep talking about, I want to say, man, people who responded to me in my previous video, I'm gonna tell you that right now, man. I'm gonna say it right now, and this is the first time I disrespect people. You guys are idiots. I'm sorry, but I don't mind people disagreeing with me on a topic, especially on CodeVein. I mean, I've made a couple videos about this game where I ranted. I said a lot of dumb shit actually when I look back at them, but nobody called me out on this. Still, I managed to say a couple of things in those videos that were really smart and actually wise of me, and I was very surprised by myself. But people were disagreeing with me as well. People were disagreeing with me as well in those videos, and I wasn't mad at them because they brought up a couple new good points. However, in the previous video that I made, god damn it, people are dumb. They're like, oh man, you just have to get good. But you know, me clearing, I was complaining a lot about the Tower of Trials, but me clearing the Tower of Trials doesn't make the issues of the game go away. You know, a ranged enemy that one-shots you at close range is still an issue, no matter what. Yes, you can go through it. Yes, I can go through it. Do I want to go through it? No, because it's not fun. Fighting the boss is fun. Fighting the Hellfire Knight is super fun. Going through that map of the depth they gave us is not fun at all because the enemies are complete bullshit. And I would even say that sometimes regular enemies are way stronger than the bosses in the game. They are super strong. Like, there's this part where they give you a Dark Knight and an Argent Wolf Soldier. I don't even want to know about that. I don't want to try that anymore. I went through it once. I'm done, and I don't want to know what. I don't even want to farm in that area at all, you know. So yeah, if people say that, oh man, just get good, you guys don't know how games work. You don't know even how to have fun in a game. If you're good at clearing that game, good for you, but you can be good at any game. You can be good at the worst game, because yes, guess what, there are people who are crazy good at Anthem. There are people who are crazy good at Jump Force. Does that make the game good? I don't think so. So yeah, man, I hate when people come up with those crappy replies. I swear I wanted to make a video where I would just point out those people directly, read their comments, and completely trash talk them, because I've never read such stupid stuff on a video before. That's insane, and I'm very shocked that a lot of people think like that. Man, if they have to make a CodeVein 2 and they have to listen to people who give that sort of feedback, CodeVein is doomed. There's already a lot of people who are not so, like, who played CodeVein, especially people who play Dark Souls. There's a lot of people who feel very funny about CodeVein, and I don't think they're ready to buy a CodeVein 2 at all. But I'm pretty sure they will buy a Surge 3, you know, a Neo 3. I'm sure they will buy those games. Neo 2 is not even out yet. It's gonna come out next month. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy the crap out of that game, even though it has reskinned, reused assets and all. Doesn't matter. It's a fun game no matter what for them. For me, it's not. But I'm pretty sure Neo is a fun game for most people. So yeah. And on a side note, just, you know, talking about stuff that I realized when I played this new DLC. When it comes to the story and all that stuff about CodeVein, I'm really wondering how they will handle the story, right? Because they're supposed to be going outside of the Red Mist and try to find people who need help. So outside of the Red Mist, there are Arigamis, right? I'm worried that the story of CodeVein just becomes God Eater, but with vampires, you know, instead of God Eaters themselves. So I don't want to play a game where I run around and then I see a random auger tail and I have to slay it. That's God Eater. That's not CodeVein, right? So I'm wondering, after this DLC that we just got, and regarding the DLCs that are supposed to come out as well, the other packs that are supposed to come out, I really wonder if CodeVein will stay the way it is if they have a new CodeVein to make, for example, CodeVein 2, because I feel like CodeVein might become in the future a Souls-like mission-based game like Neo, for example. So no open maps, no maps that are interconnected, no more of that, but just mission-based. One small area, you explore it, kind of like you do in the depth. There's mini boss and then there's a boss, and that's it. I wonder if it's going to be that way, because I feel like these developers, I've known them for like 10 years now. I've been playing God Eater. I've been watching Freedom Wars as well. I know how they think, how they kind of view their games, and ever since the beginning, ever since I've started covering CodeVein, I was aware that level design, map design, and all that stuff, that's not where they're good at. That's not what they're good at. What they're good at is, I think they're really good at making games feel a bit more arcadey. For example, they take Monster Hunter, they make God Eater, and then inside God Eater, they make it become some sort of arcadey type Monster Hunter, which Monster Hunter is already kind of arcadey, but they even push it more with God Eater, for example. So I'm wondering if CodeVein will become the arcadey version of Dark Souls. I think that would be pretty interesting, because with this new DLC we got things like the time attack stuff. It's not even a time attack, but they allow us to see the time that we put during the fight, and you can increase the difficulty. So that's interesting. I really wonder how CodeVein will turn in the future. I don't think being mission based is necessarily a bad thing, especially if it prevents them from doing things that they don't know how to do. So yeah, I'm interested in the future of this game still, and they have not even confirmed necessarily that there's going to be a sequel. Yes, they've talked about it before, but we don't know yet. Anyways, I've been rambling a lot. That's it for this video. I've been away for a while. I'm sorry, it's because I was very busy, so I'm gonna try my best to come back and probably talk a little bit more about Captain Tsubasa, because there's been news. I don't want to talk about the the systems of the game, because everyone has been covering it and it's kind of late already. But I have another topic for that that is planned for very soon. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I call it CodeVein all the time. As soon as there's something, I will cover it. Even if there's not something, I will try to make a video on it, just because it's always a priority in my head. I love this game so much, but you know, just because I love it, I have to be able to criticize it when there's an issue. I have to be able to call those issues out and give feedback. That's how you give feedback to developers. If you have a negative feedback, right? Because positive feedback, I have a lot of good things to say about this game. This game is freaking fun when the devs know what they're doing. You know, it's freaking fun when they actually know what they are doing. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Like I said, please leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.